Hi there, we're going to discuss Universal Design for Learning. I'm Renee Dawson, an educational technology specialist in Atlanta, Georgia. Before I became an educational technology specialist, I taught special education for 15 years. So, Universal Design for Learning was something I used every day in my classroom. Let's learn about it and discuss some ways that you can implement it in your classroom. What is UDL? UDL is a framework to improve and enhance teaching and learning for all learners. This framework is based on research from the cognitive sciences. Neuroscience highlights the three broad networks of the brain: recognition, skills and strategies, caring and prioritizing. Use UDL to enhance teaching and learning by setting clear and rigorous goals, anticipating barriers that students may face in the classroom, and then proactively designing lessons to minimize the barriers. There are specific guidelines that align with each of the three broad networks highlighted in UDL. These guidelines help you understand how to implement UDL along with planning your lessons with a focus on UDL. Let's review the three broad networks and their locations in the brain. Then we will look at the guidelines and checkpoints for each network. The purple region is the what of learning: recognition and representation. The blue region is the how of learning: action and expression. And the green is the why of learning, or student engagement. We all know that student engagement is a tough one right now. Let's look deeper into the three broad networks of the brain. For the what of learning, you're looking at recognition and representation. So, how you present content. We should present content in different ways to meet the needs of all of our learners. Content can be presented visually, auditorily, textually, by giving extra hints, the way it's designed, using symbols, with video, or with sign language if necessary. For the how of learning, or our action and expression, we want to differentiate ways in which the learner can express what they know. So, giving them multimodal ways of showing what they know through multiple choice, text input, drag and drop, pictures, tactile responses, finding responses, listening, and speaking responses. For our why, our engagement piece, we want to stimulate interest and motivation in learning. We want our learning to be relevant. We want it to be designed to be engaging. We want a variety of activities, use of animations, ease of use of the activity for the students, have it be auditorily rich, great feedback from teachers or peer feedback, and offer positive reinforcement to your students. Let's dig a little deeper into representation, the what of learning. For access, provide options for perception. Customize the way information is displayed. Use alternatives for auditory information and visual information for students that have processing issues in those areas. Build. Provide options for language and symbols. Clarify your vocabulary and symbols. Clarify syntax and structure. Support decoding of text, mathematical notations, and symbols. Promote understanding across languages. And illustrate through multiple media types. To help them internalize, provide options for comprehension. Activate or supply background knowledge. Highlight patterns, critical features, big ideas, and relationships. Guide information processing and visualization. And maximize transfer and generalization. The goal with representation is expert learners who are resourceful and knowledgeable. Let's move on to action and expression, the how of learning. For access, provide options for physical action, vary methods for response and navigation of the lesson, optimize access to tools and assistive technologies where needed. Help students build on the lesson by providing options for expression and communication. Use multiple media for communication, multiple tools for construction and composition, and build fluencies with graduated levels of support for practice and performance. Help students internalize lessons by providing options for executive functions. We all know that a lot of our students struggle with executive functioning. So, to help support that, guide appropriate goal setting, support planning and strategy development, Facilitate managing information and resources. Enhance capacity for monitoring progress. Some of this will take hands on action by you and several weeks of trial and error, scaffolding, and practice for your students to get the hang of it. But the goal with the how of learning is expert learners who are strategic and goal directed. For the why of learning, our engagement piece, such a critical piece after the pandemic. For access, provide options for recruiting interest. Optimize individual choice and autonomy. Optimize relevance, value, and authenticity. Minimize threats and distractions. To help your students build on the lesson, provide options for sustaining effort and persistence. Heighten the salience of goals and objectives. Vary the demands and resources to optimize challenge. Foster collaboration and community, and increase mastery oriented feedback. The best way to do that is with a great rubric. Help students internalize the lesson by providing options for self regulation. Promote expectations and beliefs that optimize motivation. Facilitate personal coping skills and strategies. And develop assessment and reflection. The why of learning goal is expert learners who are purposeful and motivated. When you're planning lessons for UDL, there are some key questions to consider. Let's take a look at each of those for the three broad networks. For the what of learning, think about how information is presented to learners. Does the lesson provide options that help all learners reach high levels of comprehension and understanding, understand the symbols and expressions, and perceive what needs to be learned? For the how of learning, think about how learners are expected to act strategically and express themselves. Does the lesson provide options that help all learners act strategically, express themselves fluidly, and physically respond? And for the why of learning, think about how learners will engage with the lesson. Does the lesson provide options that help all learners regulate their own learning, sustain effort and motivation, and engage and interest all learners? Let's look at a UDL lesson planning checklist. Here is a UDL lesson checklist. On the left are the UDL guidelines, and on the right are the unit and lesson notes. First, we look at providing multiple means of representation. First, you'll look at providing options for perception, then providing options for language and symbols, finally, providing options for comprehension. As you look at the bullet points, list your ideas next to them. Next, your UDL guidelines look at providing multiple means of action and expression, strategic networks. First, you'll provide options for physical activities, then provide options for expressive skills and fluency. Finally, provide options for executive functions. Check out the bullet points and write your ideas in the column next to them. Finally, for engagement, we want to provide multiple means of engagement for our effective networks. First, you'll look at providing options for recruiting interest, then providing options for sustaining effort and persistence. Finally, providing options for self-regulation. Once again, you'll look at the bullet points and jot your ideas in the right column. Now that we've looked at the lesson planning checklist for UDL, you're ready to put UDL into action. As you plan, don't forget to consider your three broad networks, the what, how, and why of learning. And make sure you're answering the questions for the what, how, and why of learning. For more information on UDL, check out cast.org. This site has all you need for help with Universal Design for Learning and several resources to get you started. This was Universal Design for Learning. Thanks for watching. Bye.